So the next one we're going to look at how to find the zeros of this equation by factoring. Now remember, in order to graph this, I'm going to go in and find the axis of symmetry by using that formula. That's negative b over 2a for the axis of symmetry. I'm also going to be able to go and use that same formula and find the point of the vertex for the equation. Next, I want to be able to find what are called the x-intercepts, or I want to see where this graph is going to cross the x line, the x coordinate, or the x-axis. So in order to do that, I need to take this equation and I'm going to factor it. In order to factor it, I need it to be in two binomials that I'll then be able to multiply to get this as an answer. So when I'm looking at this, my first setup, you'll remember, is to use that FOIL method. Firsts, outers, inners, lasts. So in order to get my firsts, I need an x squared. So what times what will give me an x squared? You should all jump right on that answer to realize the only way you can get an x squared is to multiply x by x. Then my lasts are where I'm going to go next. And my number here is 24. So I need combinations of numbers which will multiply and give me 24. Now I could use 24 and 1. I could also use 3 and 8. I could also use 6 and 4. Or I could also use 12 and 2. I think those should be all of my options for 24. The next step, though, is to realize that I need those to add to 14. So I want to look down through my pairs and see which of those two are going to add to 14. We can see 8 and 3 will add to 11, 6 and 4 will add to 10, and 12 and 2 will add to 14. So this is the pair that I want. So I plug them in right up here, x plus 12, x plus 2, and those become my two binomials. The next part of solving is to figure out the zero parts of those. We know that one of the two has to equal 0, so I'm just going to rewrite here a second. And so in order to solve to find my zeros, I'm going to factor it out and pretend that the whole thing is equal to 0. So I'll have x equals, x plus 12, without a giant plus 12 equals 0, and x plus 2 equals 0. Now I'll solve each of those. I need to subtract 12 to get my x value, and then I'll subtract 2 on both sides to get my other x value. So for this equation, my two zeros of when it'll cross that x-axis, the y value is 0, and my x value is negative 12 and negative 2. So if I were going to graph this, when I put it on a graph, I would come over and I would see negative 2 would be one space where it crosses, and then negative 12 would be the other spot where the parabola crosses. Just to kind of show you what I'm talking about, I'm going to use my cheap screencasting software. I can't switch from one camera to the other in the middle of a video, from the screencast to the camera. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in here the equation that we started with, which was x squared plus 14x. That should have been a plus. Try that again. Plus 14x plus 24. And you can see that my two intercepts are crossing at negative 12 and, just like we expected, negative 2. So are the two solutions you guys came up with. And keep up the good work. We're going to try one more.